What's up, everybody? This is Chris from BroadTip, and today I'm going to be starting up my little series on Lightroom 4 and how you can save your photographs. So I'm going to start up with this picture right here that I took in New Orleans, and it's just not a very good photo. I mean, it's cool. I liked these windows, and I really couldn't tell you why it ended up so blue. The rest of the photos I took all day were just fine. You can see them down here. None of them are white balanced incorrectly, but this one was, and it might just be because of the reflection of the sky on the windows and stuff that just tricked my camera into turning blue. Whatever. Let's get started anyway. So first, I just want to correct this blueness. So I'm going to go over here to temperature, and I'm just going to pull this up a good bit. I might actually over warm this photo. But you see right here, it's getting a lot of like the real colors back into the concrete of the building. I'm going to put it right about here in the middle. I want to like over warm it just because I like the look of it. So now we have the color back in the building and the sky. So now we're just going to crop it. I noticed that it would just look better if the top of the building right here was parallel to the top of the composition. So what you can do is come over here to the right or the left, top, bottom, and just click and drag it, and you can rotate the photo very so slightly. And then let off, take a look at it. See, that's might be just a little much. So I'm going to go back a little bit. You don't want to overdo it. Alright, that should be fine. I'm just going to hit enter, see if that looks okay. That's pretty good. It's not perfectly parallel, but I don't want it to be too uniform. So now, I don't want my crop to be locked because I want to be able to play with it. So I'm going to pull this down, and then I'm going to pull this corner in so that the amount of space above the building is the same as the amount of space next to the building, just to make the composition look a little better. Now, we've completely screwed up the aspect ratio for printing, but that should be okay. Alright, that's pretty good right there. Now, that's pretty good if you're just trying to save the photograph, but let's take it just a little bit farther. I'm going to just stylize this a little bit, make it look a little cooler. So I'm going to come down here to my highlights, and I'm just going to put them all the way down, all the way. And it's going to pull a little bit of the detail back in the sky, a little bit of these clouds. Not a whole lot, because everything's pretty neutral in this photograph, and that's why I'm not a huge fan of it. Now we're going to come here to the shadows, and we're going to pull this all the way up. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us a little bit of detail on these windows. See right here, this other building's reflection kind of came up a little bit when I bumped the shadows up. Now I'm going to hold my Alt key. I guess that'd be Command on the Mac. I'm going to hold it down, and I'm going to click on these whites. I'm going to pull these all the way up until I start to see a little bit of the all white pixels. Just a little bit, like maybe one or two. That's too much. Come back just a little bit, and you'll see I have a little bit down in the bottom left, so I'm going to let off Alt and stop holding down my left click. And that ruined the picture. But let's go to our blacks, and we're going to do the same thing, but to the left. You see, we already have a good bit of the black pixels, but I want to see just a little bit of detail. Get some of those windows. Alright, that looks pretty good. It pulled the outline of these windows really good. I kind of like that look. Now I'm going to pull my contrast up just a bit to get a little bit of the colors back. And then I'm going to drop my exposure down. Alright, I'm going to set my exposure for the building. Just get that how I want it. That should be good. Now I'm going to come up here to my brush tool and see what my size is. That should be about good. And I'm going to just drop the exposure down a good bit. I'm also going to bring the contrast up just a bit, the clarity up just a bit, and the saturation up a bit. Now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to trace my sky. I'm going to get that all the way. Make sure you have all the sky selected. Now let's bring the exposure back up until we have a good good detail in the sky. That should be pretty good right there. Now I'm actually going to warm this up. I want the sky to be that might be a bit much. Let's just leave that where it is, and let's maybe mess with the tint just to see what we can accomplish here. And I'm not gonna be able to do a whole lot to that. I'm actually gonna bring the exposure up just a bit. It might be pop a little bit too much. I'm gonna bring the contrast up some. Yeah, that'll be just fine. Now I'm gonna hit done. This looks fairly decent. So I'm gonna come back to my exposure. See that everything's just a little bit dark. I'm gonna bring that up just a smidge, and that should be okay. Alright, so now let's mess with the presence tab here. And Normally you can get away with not messing with this hardly at all, but I kind of like to bring some of the clarity up. It to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you what the actual term for what this does is. It just adds a little bit more contrast to like specific parts of the photo to make the lines pop a little bit. I'm gonna bring my vibrance up just a bit, not too much. I just want the orange in the building to come through. Take my saturation, and I'll probably end up not doing much with this, but I'll move it around just to see what I can get. This photograph actually might look kind of cool black and white, but I'm not gonna try that. Still all the way at the bottom, and then just go up till we're happy with it. I'm not gonna look at the numbers. I'm just gonna look at the photograph and see what I like. And that's about good right there. +2. Yeah, see, I ended up not messing with it at all. Alright, so now I'm just going to get rid of this tab. And I'm going to come here to HSL, color, and B&W. That's going to be hue, saturation, and luminosity, color, and then black and white. And it's going to bring this hue, saturation, and luminance right here. Let's come to this hue right here, and I'm going to see what I can do with the yellow in this building. You see, if I click this button right here, it's going to let me click over here in the picture and mess with the hue. See, it highlights the orange. So I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to maybe move it towards the red a bit just to see what it does. Just see how that looks. Yeah, I'm not really feeling that, so I'm going to double click on hue, reset all this, and I'm going to click on this again. See if I can get it to come up. It looks like I already had it selected. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to bring it up towards the yellow just a bit, see how that works. It's turning it green. I don't like that. I think I'm just going to stick with how I had it. So now, but I am going to come up here to the blues. I'm going to move this just a little bit more towards the blue, maybe. That's turning purple. Alright, let's go back towards the teal. That might be okay. Let's move it up just a bit. Alright, I'm okay with that. I didn't do a whole lot to it. But I'm going to come to saturation, and I'm going to select this wall again, and I'm going to pull it up just a bit. Okay. I might do a little bit with the blues. Alright. Now come down to luminance. Normally you only mess with this in black and white, but you can sometimes get some cool effects with the with this. But I noticed this is it's a little bit dark, so I'm going to bring it up some. You'll see what that's kind of doing. It's giving a cool depth effect with the top of it. Alright, and now I might heighten up the blues. That'll be okay. And the reason you might want to do the luminance down here rather than just messing with the exposure is because it'll only heighten certain colors and it'll leave these blacks where they are. And I really like the contrast to where it is. But I'm gonna get a brush again like we did with the sky. Go all the way back up here to the top. I'm gonna hit new. And for effect, I'm just going to come right here, and I think if I click custom again, nope, it's not gonna reset all of it. I'll just have to manually do it. I don't want to waste the time looking for it. But what I want to do is I want to brighten this up just a bit, not a whole lot. Actually, yeah, I'm not gonna try that. I might mess it up. Not too much. I'm gonna come down a little bit and increase the size of the brush. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna brush over this area right here, up until the point where it starts to just get too stops being dark. Alright, now I'm not gonna leave it there. So I'm gonna pull this back down. Let's reset it. Let's put that back where it was, and we're just gonna bring it up just a bit until we're happy with it. Okay, that's pretty good right there. Alright, now let's go all the way down, and we're gonna mess with our detail and stuff. So we're gonna go to detail, and you see there's a little bit of noise, not too bad. It's a pretty bright picture, but I'm gonna bring my noise reduction up just a bit, maybe a little bit more. Oh, that should be fine. I'm gonna bring my sharpening up about double of what it is now, if I can get to load. Alright, that should be fine right there. I'm actually bring that down just a little bit more. Bring that down. Alright, looking away from the picture then looking back, I actually noticed that it might be just a little bit too bright. So I'm gonna play with the exposure. Alright, yeah, that's better. Okay. So I'm gonna come back down here. I'm gonna minimize this just because it's kind of crowding everything up. I'm gonna get rid of this detail tab. Go to effects. And this is postcard vignetting. It's gonna do the general vignette effect. And I don't think I want that because it's gonna screw up the color of my sky. So I'm just gonna leave that where it is. Alright, there's not a whole lot to mess with here in the effects, but I'm going to come to the lens correction and go to profile, and sometimes I'll mess with this, but usually I don't, but I'm going to mess with it just to see what it looks like. I'll come to Canon because that's the kind of lens I was using, and the default for this is going to be the 18-55mm, which I believe I was using. I might have been using my Nifty 50, but I'm pretty sure it's my 18-55, so let's see if I can find that again. It doesn't look like it's on here, does it? Whatever. It's already selected. Let's just turn that on and off. It's gonna warp the building just a bit. I think I'm gonna leave it off. All right. I'm coming out of camera calibration, and I'd like to go to this profile right here, and I'll drop it down, and you have all these different like default setting type deals. So I'm gonna click on faithful. I'm gonna see how that looks. And puts a little bit too teal. Go to landscape, see how that looks. That looks okay. It's a little bit oversaturated. Now I'm gonna click on neutral. See how that does. No, that's too cinemascope. All right, portrait. That's standard. Man, standard's probably my favorite. But I'm gonna come back here to Adobe standard. See the difference between Adobe standard and camera standard. See which one I like best. I think I might actually like the camera standard. It's really not doing a whole lot. I'll just leave it at Adobe standard. Just for good measure, I guess. And I think we're done. So I'm going to show you my before and after. It's going to be with crop though. So I'm going to hit Y. It's going to bring up my before and after. So you have this really blue photograph. Starting out, the composition was bad. That just didn't make any sense. It's just really blue and the white balance is off. And we took it and we brought back a lot of detail in the sky. You'll see that. We got rid of all the blueness. We warmed up the photograph a good bit. And I think it actually turned out pretty good. So I guess we're done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you like seeing these Lightroom 4 tutorials on how to save your photograph, go ahead and subscribe to BroadTip. And we'll also have some After Effects tutorials, maybe some Premiere tutorials. And thanks for watching. Bye.